Retail is full on. It's really exciting, but you're as good as your customer tells you this morning.
When you got everything coming at you, how do you compose yourself?
I wasn't always calm. When I was 21 and I had a visit from our operations director, very tall man, pinstripe suit. The only thing about Stuart, he's a headless chicken. He's always panicking and rushing around. I went round the corner and said, I'm Stuart. I'm the Chief Executive of Marks & Spencer. We employ nearly 70,000 people, and this is my Duvet flip.
Say I want to get into retail, I have no experience. What's 3 things you would recommend I do?
I think the first thing is retail is so diverse. I mean, there's so many different parts of retail. One of the colleagues who works for me, his name is Sandeep. He said to me, you've got the perfect job for you. Having that interest in people could be a strength. So if you like meeting people, working with people, then retail is a great opportunity for you.
If you was looking at your younger self now, what would you be telling them?
Well, I think that...
What goes into...
Jack, don't test me on ingredients.
No, not in ingredients.
No artificial colours or
I know, I can see that. What's your duvet flip? What gets you out of bed in the morning to flip the duvet?
Che vuoi gira largo da me, non sai che oramai è finita con te. Tu sei quella che mi fa passare soltanto chi sei, chi sei.
Well, thank you for doing this.
I'm quite excited about it because I've watched all your videos. I've seen friends and colleagues of mine, so I'm intrigued what you're going to ask me.
You know what, it could go in any direction.
I'm scared I'm going to be more boring compared to everybody else.
No, I think you're going to be a lot of fun. I want to start here, around your first job, because you're now CEO of M&S, and to get there, it's been a roller coaster of a journey. You've not just plopped yourself as CEO, you've had to work a lot of hard work, do a lot of shifts, and people don't see that. They see, oh, this CEO is now the CEO earning A, B and C, and we'll talk a bit about that in a bit. But I want to talk a little bit about where it first started. Go back to your first job. What did your first job teach you? That if you was looking at your younger self now, what would you be telling them?
Well, firstly, Jack, you're right, because people look at the job you've got now. In fact, I texted a friend of mine recently. I'll name drop because it's Carol Vorderman. And I texted her and said, everybody thinks I've just landed this job and it's a big salary and I've done really well, but no one realises the journey from 16 years old. And I was telling her my journey very quickly on a text message. And she said, wow, I never realised. So to your point, I mean, I remember my first job interview. It was a company called Saver Centre, which was a huge hypermarket. It was Sainsbury's and British Home Stores. So you did food and you did clothing and home and gardening. So huge hypermarkets, 200,000 square foot stores. And in my local one, which was Hempstead Valley in Kent, I wrote this application form and the phone rang to go for an interview. I was so excited. I went and bought a suit from M&S. I got a shirt and tie and I went for my interview. And the personnel manager, I remember his name was Colin Jones. He had a very dark suit and tie, always wore the same, sat behind this desk. I was in a line of people in this office floor above the supermarket, and I got called in and I went in, sat like this, like you and me. I'm just as intimidated now with you as I was with him. And I sat there and he interviewed me to do Trolleys on a Saturday. And he said, well, the good news is we'll offer you a job now.
On the spot?
On the spot, after about a 40 minute conversation. And I can't tell you, I can even remember now the feeling of being offered that job, my very first job. I was like goosebumps, I was proud. probably, if I'm honest, a bit teary-eyed. You know, the emotion of, you know, slightly overwhelmed. And I said, that's fantastic. When do I start? He said, well, someone would talk to you outside, you have an induction, and then you'll start probably in a week's time on a Saturday. And that was my first job. And it reminded me, like the email on the way here today, from a customer whose son hasn't heard back from us, who's 16, it reminded me the importance, because all of a sudden, although I was at school and I was doing okay, wasn't top of class at everything or anything, but that interview gave me confidence. It made me feel I was worthy of something. I was anxious because I kept thinking, well, I hope I'm good. I hope I collect enough trolleys. I hope I don't get sacked too quick. You know, in all my mind, I started going down this, how good am I going to be? But
the imposter syndrome coming in.
I think that's true. And I think that's probably true of most people. But, you know, that fear of, oh my gosh, if I get this job, I've got to keep it and I've got to be the best and I've got to work very hard. And that was the start. Well, I was trying to think about an interesting fact about me, and I think probably one is I'm incredibly passionate about my music, and I try and go to as many concerts as possible. That's not the one I'm going to pick. I'm going to pick the fact that my late grandmother, who I called my nan, who really was a guiding light for me as a kid, said to me, one day, darling, you're either going to be the Prime Minister or Chief Executive of Marks & Spencer.
And what is your advice to anyone, whether it's that 16-year-old applying for their first weekend job or whether it's a 40-year-old, what is your advice to actually working hard and good in an organisation?
Well, I think that is the first thing. I mean, when I interview people now, I say, do you work hard? I do that to executives I recruit. I always ask, do you work hard? And what does working hard mean to you?
And what do they say?
Well, everyone says, of course, yes. And I go, but why? Explain it. And people think also, some people are put off by that question. But I like it because it really starts to get people to think. Because it's a bit like at M&S now. There's so much to do. We've got so much to do to transform the business. Retail is full on. It's really exciting. But you're as good as your customer tells you this morning when they're in your local store and they're giving you feedback or they're writing to you on email. That's how good you're as good in the moment. And therefore it's very dynamic, it's very in the moment, and you've got a good sense of what's going on in communities very quickly, and the fact you employ lots of people. So when I talk to people, I talk about how hard you work. So I think going back, you know, when I think about how I applied myself, I've always been pretty self-motivated, probably surprisingly to people who know me, more introvert than extrovert, to be truthful. I'm very good at putting on, you know, if I'm in work, I'm on stage and I act the role. I come off stage, or it's a bit like you go home, I shut the door, I take a deep breath and I just play with my dog and I just chill out, and in some ways I can be a loner. But when I did that job on Trolleys, I was on stage. Customers were looking at me. I was working with different people, so I acted the role. And I remember putting so much effort. I'd always clock in early. I used to have this thing, I started at 8 o'clock every Saturday. I would always clock in at 5 to 8. And when I finished at 5, I always did overtime, even though I wasn't authorised, so I didn't get paid. But I never clocked out on time.
Why is that? Why did you do that? And I wouldn't have thought you was an introvert coming in here today. You came in here singing.
I singing? Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I heard your Taylor Swift. But why should you turn up 5 minutes early? And why should you? Because I totally agree. I always use this saying: if you're not 5 minutes early, you're already late.
Yeah, interesting.
You was 10 minutes early down the stairs, and I was just like, okay, you're someone who respects time.
There's a bit of me in those early days that I just wanted to show I was committed, or probably slightly paranoid that a fear of, well, if I'm not clocking in early and finishing late and showing commitment, I won't keep the job. I think that was probably it. I don't know, but I always remember clocking early, clocking late, and then always being around if someone needed me. because I was always the colleague where someone said, we're really struggling, can you help out, fill up the grocery? Yes, I'll do it straight away. And I think that one thing that work gave me, and I'm a big believer in work, it gave me purpose, it gave me confidence.
Say I want to get into retail, I have no experience. What's 3 things you would recommend I do to actually, 1, be a team player, 2, provide great customer service, and 3, go from trolley to checkout?
I think the first thing is retail is so diverse. I mean, there's so many different parts of retail. You know, one of the colleagues who works for me said to me recently, we'd had a half a day on food and half a day on clothing. And we got up in the lift, and his name is Sandeep, and Sandeep walked with me outside the lift, and he said to me, you've got the perfect job for you. And I said, yeah, I think so. And he said, but you're in your element. You spent half a day eating food, testing it, giving feedback. You've got very strong views, and you research everything and shop everywhere, and you're always talking about food. And then you're in a women's wear review going through fashion and the Sienna Miller range and all the different collaborations with our women's wear director. And then you're on menswear asking why there's not enough black and where's the short sleeve tee and why the short's too long. And he said, it just dawned on me that you've got the perfect job. But the reason I say that is because whether it's automobiles or DIY or gardening or food or clothing or homewares or beauty, you know, retail is vast. And that means, I think, you serve millions of customers. So having that interest in people is definitely could be a strength. So if you like meeting people, working with people, then retail is a great opportunity for you. You know, teamwork that you mentioned, you know, running stores or in the office, everything is a collaboration. Now, one of the reasons I'm really passionate about people working in the office and not from home is because I don't think you can innovate, I don't think you can disrupt, I don't think you can collaborate, I don't think you can transform a business by being at home on your own. I think you've got to be together. So the word you've said, teamwork, I think is a really important part, an ingredient of what you need to work in retail. I think as well, you know, like in any business, having some curiosity. I think it's, if you enjoy what you do and you find something that you enjoy, I think that just makes life so much easier. Well, there's so many stories and facts about Marks & Spencer, but did you know we actually serve over 60% of the UK population?
How do you manage when you got everything coming at you, left, right and centre? How do you compose yourself? Like, you've walked in here today and there's 5,000 other things happening, from someone emailing you to a new product to have we got enough black teas now? All this stuff, and you're here so gracefully, very calm. You made me and my team feel the most important people in the world. How do you build the balance to, obviously stress can be good stress, but how do you compose it in a professional setting?
I think, if I'm honest, I haven't thought about this, but my PA, I've got the most wonderful PA. And PA is a tough job. You know, they're running your life, they're helping you be effective. And Sam, in my case, helps me be the best I can be as the Chief Executive in my time, in my management and everything. And she said to me recently, but you're very calm and you're very at ease in your role, and you're just in your rhythm. And I reflected on that, but I wasn't always calm. I mean, I remember I was 21 years old running a fresh food department, and I think things have changed in terms of hierarchy, but mate, I don't know, because when you're the chief executive, you sometimes forget that because to me, I do the same job as everyone else in M&S. I don't like titles and I don't like layers, and I like everyone talking to everyone. So I'd say we're all here to do the same thing. I'm here to transform the business, improve the business, sell and serve to customers, and grow M&S. So I do the same as Mary on the checkout, or Jordan and Lucy here today. So we all do the same thing. We're all here for the same reason. And when I think about that, and I think back to when I was 21 and I had a visit from our operations director, who I always remember, his name was Colin Turner, God rest his soul, and a very tall man, pinstripe suit, would march us around, and he would walk around with the store director, and I was a head of department, and I'll be waiting for the inspection. And I was panicking, running up and down, and I will never forget this. He walked around the corner and looked at me, moved his glasses down, I was 21 years old, and said, the department's very good. And I said, thank you, Mr. Turner. And when he walked around the corner to the bakery, he said to my store director, the only thing about Stuart, he's a headless chicken. He's always panicking and rushing around. He needs to slow down. And I heard it. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm a headless chicken. And I went round the corner and said, Mr. Turner, I heard what you said and I think you're right. I think it's just because I just want everything to be good all the time, but I am only 21 years old. And I walked off. I remember saying, I haven't told that story, I don't think, forever, but it's just because you've asked me about, am I calm? Because I think I'm probably calmer now because of experience and learning and failing and succeeding. And
That sounds like a mic drop moment.
yeah.
Mic drop.
Yeah, it probably was.
So I want to talk about, we've got a pack
Percy
of... Oh,
Pigs.
do you want one?
Yeah.
The yawn about that. You're the one who bought them from me. What goes into... I want to talk a
Oh,
little...
Jack, don't test me on ingredients.
No, not in ingredients.
No artificial colours or
I know,
flavours.
I can see that. I want to talk a little bit about what goes into, not into these, but into actually getting them here in front of me. Because there's a lot that goes into...
Well, it's because I brought them for you.
You bought them for me, but how does, like, the packaging, the name, how many people are involved, what types of jobs are involved with creating a bag of Percy Pigs?
Well, so many. I mean, it's a very interesting point because we love food. I mean, my first job, pardon me, in Marks and Spencer's, was running our food business. And before I joined, knowing I was joining, I literally ate every M&S product. And I made notes on everything, whether it was the coconut milk or a Percy pig or a chocolate biscuit or a prepared meal. I gave scores out of 10. I talked about the taste, the texture, the ingredients. I then was benchmarking it. I mean, I spent literally a couple of months, not a long time, shopping and eating everything. And my team will tell you, actually I'm the same with clothing, but I'm obsessive about product. And I think that's what makes M&S actually different. I think that's our standout. You have to enjoy food, because if you think about, to your point, all the people involved, you have technical teams who spend so much time on ingredients, how you can develop a product, but also make sure it transports, how you can package a product, but with the so it protects quality, but you also minimize things like plastic or something. So you have someone in technical that deals with all the product makeup and manufacturing. You have someone in product development who comes up with the ideas. who puts all the products together, or you're a buyer, which means you're going through the technical, the product developer, and you are managing the range, the SKU count, the range architecture by store, and you're working with the supplier to produce the very best product for best value for customer, but also a margin that gives us the return and for our shareholders. So we call it a three-legged stool: the buyer, the developer, the head of tech. And then you have other people involved. You have people in marketing. How do we market a new line? We might do that through packaging. We might do it through advertising. We might do it through influencing. So there's a lot of people involved. Stores are involved because if you're in a store, you're selling that product, you're merchandising the product. If I go into a store, I moan if the product packaging doesn't face the right way, because you always want to see the product because you put so much time into the packaging to explain the product to customers or to create a marketing so the product sells.
And I've noticed that, I don't know if it's all of them, but a lot of the stores will have their own TikTok channels.
Yes.
Which is bloody genius and cool. You actually get to know the people, and then they go around the stores. It's just on my feed all day.
I think the retail industry is the most dynamic of all industries. And if you just think, the retail industry employ over 3 million people. So it can really contribute to the economy, but also contribute to people's lives in the UK.
So what would you say for anyone tuning in? What should they go and check out?
Well, look, I would check out everything in Marks & Spencer's. Our fashion has got so much better. Because M&S, it's always about sort of style, quality, affordability. And we've got more younger people shopping in M&S now than ever before on clothing, menswear, women's wear in particular. So that's going really well. And I think we're doing some really good things. So I would definitely check that out. And our autograph men's is really doing well. And the autumn winter range is going to be fantastic. And on food, I don't think you can get better food anywhere. And we're more price competitive now than ever. I mean, when I joined 6 years ago, we'd taken our prices down by about 150 million and really invested in value for customers to grow our business, but maintain the quality. In fact, even invest more in quality. So I would say check out our food, check out our clothing, but check out the job opportunities in M&S or retail, because, going back to our earlier conversation, retail is such an exciting place to be. And you can take your buying skills, your operation skills, your marketing skills, your HR people, leadership skills, and you can transfer them anywhere.
I agree. We've only got time for one more question, and we could talk all day. I know.
That's gone very quick.
It has, isn't it? Are you ready for it?
Go on then.
What's your duvet flip? What gets you out of bed in the morning to flip the duvet?
My duvet flip it's literally not knowing what surprises you might get. And it's something that I only learnt this, I'd say about 12 years ago. Because 12 years ago, I did have a blip in my career and I didn't work for a short period of time. And that's never happened to me since I was 16 years old. But I found energy and excitement in never quite knowing what was going to happen that day, who I was going to meet, what call I may get, what email I might receive. And it's something I love mornings. It takes me a few hours. I get up very early because I stage myself, okay? I have to have my coffee and I have to the news, I like to read, and I have my Taylor Swift on or something else. It takes me a while, but I get up early. But I love an early morning because that getting up and never quite knowing what might happen, I find incredibly exciting.
And that's what gets you out of bed?
That's what gets me out of bed.
A new day, right?
A new day.
What are you going to learn?
Who are you going to meet? What are you going to learn? What surprises? Of course, it's not always good surprises.
Of course.
But things that you just don't plan for, because when you're someone like me who likes everything planned, I like everything scheduled, I like to know what I'm doing, I love that bit of excitement that never quite knows what might happen today.
Well, I just want to say thank you for your energy, your kindness, and anyone tuning in who wants to go and get a career in retail, go over to the M&S website, check it out, and join a fantastic organisation across food, menswear, fashion, home,
beauty,
HR, all of it.
And we're international. Go and work in India. We have 100 stores in India.
Wow.
So we've got many opportunities, but that retail has. I think retail is an industry, you know, so much opportunity.
Well, thank you.
Good to meet you, Jack, and good luck as well.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Chi sei, ma che vuoi, gira largo da me, non sai che oramai è finita con te, tu sei quella che mi fa passare soltanto qua.